Hey gang, Tony here with the weekly entertainment roundup. One day late. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I was expecting to completely miss weeks at a time. I have a nice list of stuff here to tell you about, so I'm going to get right into it. No, it's not the whole book, don't worry. So all of this, I have to tell you about all of these movies. We got probably a dozen things. I'm going to go through a lot of them really quickly, though, because there's stuff in here that you've probably all seen. Alright, let's start with the movies. I have movie shows and games this week, no books because I've been bad and I haven't really been reading very much. So we'll start with movies, and I will start with a triple feature that my brother and I actually did the beginning of this last weekend. We were going to go to the drive-in, to Mahoning Drive-In. They were doing a Carpenter weekend, and unfortunately it kind of rained and was wet, and we didn't want to go and sit in the rain, you know. I mean, yeah, you could sit in the car, but with the windshield wipers going and the humidity and it's hot, and it just wasn't sounding like a good time anymore. So we decided to skip it, and then I brought all the movies that they were showing at the drive-in with me, as well as a bunch of other movies, and I let my brother pick what to watch because I've seen them all and he didn't see any of them. So what we ended up watching was John Carpenter's The Thing, which was one of the movies that they were showing at the Mahoning Drive-In. And of course, I don't have to say much about this movie because if you're on my channel, chances are you own it, you've seen it a million times. It is one of my favorite John Carpenter films and also one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's just an amazing showcase of physical effects, and it was kind of cool sitting through this movie with someone who had never seen it before, my brother, because he didn't really know what to expect. He, I don't think, was aware of what the movie was about, really, so it was very cool to see his reaction to it. He has been watching Stranger Things and The X-Files, and there, of course, are the references to The Thing in Stranger Things, and then in X-Files there's an episode that is very much like The Thing that he had read, that was kind of a little connection there. So he was excited to see this and kind of put the pieces together and see what it was all about. So that was a good starting point. From there, during the triple feature, we deviated from the Carpenter night and watched a couple of other movies instead. So my brother's next pick was The Return of the Living Dead. This is the new Scream Factory edition. I have an unboxing of this somewhere in my channel. I'll do a card, you know, the little info card at the top, so you guys could check that out if you want to. So this was my first viewing of the new edition with some new music. Well, it's the old music, I guess, that was changed, and I've only seen versions of the movie with the changed music. So they had all the original soundtrack except for one song on this. So that was interesting to hear the new music. And the transfer is awesome. It looks great. Much better than my old version. I have the old collector's edition as well. So this was, again, it's another movie that you guys have seen, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But again, really cool getting to see it with someone who's never watched it before. It's almost like you're seeing it for the first time again. And my brother was, at first, with this movie, you know, the acting, it's a little campy. It's not the, you know, it's not the height, especially coming off of The Thing, which is really well acted and just legitimately a good movie. And then you could argue that Return of the Living Dead is more of, maybe not, like, if you were, say, a professional movie critic, maybe not, like, a good movie, but it's a fucking awesome movie, you know what I mean? So, my brother had a moment or two where he was like, huh, and then he kind of got the idea of what this movie was. I told him about it, like, I was like, wait for Trash Dance. He's like, what's Trash Dance? I'm like, oh, you'll see. And he was pretty, floored by that. He's like, is she just naked the rest of the movie? I'm like, pretty much. So that was fun. And again, just a really cool, you know, especially for someone who's only ever seen zombie movies that pretty much adhere to, like, the Romero rules, you know, and getting to see these other zombies that don't adhere to those rules. And it's, you know, the first time you see it, you're kind of like, whoa, wait, what's going on? You're supposed to be able to kill these things. So I loved watching this with my brother. It was really cool. And then our final movie of the night was Night of the Demons. And I was surprised he chose this one, to be honest, because I told him that of the movies I brought, it's not, again, if we're saying that this movie isn't technically a good movie, this one's even worse in terms of like acting and stuff, you know. Of course, I love it. I own it. Don't take this the wrong way. But I mean, you got to admit, you know, for someone who's not into campy horror movies, you put a movie like this on, and they're going to see like just awful acting and kind of, you know, horror movie tropes. He definitely liked the other movies better than this one. And, you know, he was kind of laughing about the acting in it and stuff like that. But at the end, he enjoyed it for what it was, I'll put it that way. And that was our triple feature. Alright. So, what else have I been watching? I watched Back to the Future 2 and 3. I got the collector's edition, 30th anniversary trilogy edition. I didn't spring for the box set. They had this one, and then they had the one that came in the box with the flux capacitor on the box. And I think the two main differences between this edition and the other edition was that came with the special box. That one came with the full animated series. This only has like 1 or 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes. No, two episodes of the animated series. And those are the two main differences, and the price. I got this. This is the Blu-ray collection. It was sealed brand new. I got for $12. And I believe the box set was at the cheapest I could find. It was probably about, I want to say $50 or $60. So for me, you know, this was the deal. I don't need the whole animated series. I really don't. And the box, you know what, I like collector's editions and stuff, but the price difference was so drastic. So I went with this. If you guys watch my videos, you know that Mike and I saw Back to the Future Part 1 at the drive-in recently. So I watched the other 2 movies, and the reason I did that was because I have a game that I downloaded on the PS4. It is a Telltale game. It's the Back to the Future game. And the story continues, supposedly, from the trilogy. So I want to rewatch the trilogy and then play the game. So, again, you know, I'm not going to talk too much about this. Everyone's seen them, I hope. If you haven't, please watch these. Amazing. It is interesting, though. I will say this. When you watch them very in close proximity to one another, which I have not done in many, many years, if ever, watching the callbacks to the other movies in the trilogy and the repeated, you know, the cyclical nature of the time travel and like the events that happen that are so similar to each other, it's really interesting to watch that when you're actually just watching the movies back to back, because you kind of forget that stuff, and then you see these things coming back into play, the callbacks and the references and things. It's pretty funny. So, yeah, Back to the Future. Okay. I also finally rewatched, I only saw half of this movie before, so I finally rewatched The Hollow. It's Hallow. I'll put a picture of the movie. It's a dark fairies kind of movie. They go out into the woods, and they shouldn't be in the woods, and there's, you know, dark fairies and stuff, and there's actually some pretty cool body horror involved in this. I didn't rate any of those other movies because they're all classics that defy, you know, rating. They are all movies you should watch if you haven't seen them. The Hollow, I will give, you know, you could say 7 changelings out of 10. 7 changelings out of 10. It was good. Definitely worth a watch. I don't want to say much more about it. I'm going to move a little faster here. Zootopia. I saw Zootopia. It was fun. I don't know. I like watching cartoons every once in a while. Give that 7 antelopes out of 10. And finally, I watched The Big Short. The Big Short is on Netflix. I should probably go back. Big Short is on Netflix. The Hollow is on Netflix instant streaming. Zootopia I had to rent through Netflix DVD. And then the other ones I own, I think Back to the Future movies are actually on Netflix Instant right now. I'm pretty sure I saw that. So if you haven't seen those in a while and you want to watch them, they're on Netflix. Night of the Demons, Return of the Living Dead, The Thing. pretty sure you got to either own them, rent them, something like that. The Big Short was about the economic crisis, the housing collapse. Pretty interesting movie. A lot of big names in it. It was decent. I'll give it, I'm gonna also give it 7 mortgages out of 10. Historically accurate, I think. It's supposedly based on a true story. So, again, interesting to watch. A little depressing, too, when you get to the end. And TV shows that I've been watching. Wow, this is a long video. Whee! Weekly entertainment roundup is gonna kill me. Dying. Give me the coffee. Or is it whiskey? It's coffee. Resurrection TV show on Hulu. It's okay. I believe it was canceled. I'm just watching it because what the hell. It's basically about people who died and then come back, and you don't know why they came back. There's other shows like that too. There's a few. There's a French show, The Returned, that was then remade for America, also called Returned. That was canceled. I think the French one is only like 2 seasons long. Not sure if that was canceled. This was canceled. They're all basically the same premise. I don't know why they keep making the same goddamn movie or show. And I don't know why I keep watching it. Elementary, on Hulu, TV show. I like it. I dig it. Pretty cool. The Increasingly Bad Decisions of Todd Margaret finally got a 3rd or 4th season. I started watching the new season and I realized that I didn't remember the old season, so I went back. I'm starting to watch that again. Very goofy. Has what's his face in it? David Cross from Mr. Show. Weird, kind of strange offbeat comedy. Partly British. It takes place in England. A lot of it. It's a good show if you like that sort of comedy. It's like comedy of errors. Stuff keeps happening bad to the guy. Orange is the New Black on Netflix, of course. I'm slow playing this last season. I've been watching an episode here and there. Love the show. Not much more to say there. Games. I finished Life is Strange, the first chapter of Life is Strange, the free chapter that I got. I'll be honest, I wasn't really getting into it. It's kind of slow, a little boring, not much happens. It's a very, everyday life sort of thing. You walking through the campus, you gotta go get the USB drive and give it back to the guy, and then you meet up with someone and you go to their house and you're walking around their house, you gotta fix your camera. Very boring, if I'm being honest. But people are telling me, my friend Todd, and I believe Pippa also said that she loved it. And my friend Todd is saying, once you pass that first chapter, it gets really, really good. And he said, trust me, get the other chapters. So, I'm probably going to wait till they go on sale, but eventually I guess I'll play the rest of it, see what the hell's going on. There is, a supernatural, weird element to it. They just don't play into that very much in the first chapter. And it feels like a lot of exposition, a lot of setup, and I got a little bored. So, maybe the rest of it's awesome, though. I might go check it out. They told me to, so I will. And as I mentioned, the reason I was watching the Back to the Future movies again, because I have Back to the Future, the game, which is basically part 4. That's what I'm hearing anyway. So I started that last night, and it's really cool so far. They replay part of the first movie where Marty is first finding out about the DeLorean time machine at the mall parking lot. So you basically replay that part of the movie, and it's really cool. And then it goes on, of course, into flashes forward to 1986 after Doc is gone, of course, because he's been gone with, I believe, they haven't mentioned Clara or the kids from the end of part 3, but I'm assuming they're not going to break with continuity. I'm assuming they're going to come into it. But it is, a year has passed, and Doc is not around, and Marty misses him, and there's a estate sale over at Doc's house. So you go over to the house, and you're kind of looking through some of the stuff, and you get to sort of see and play around with some of the items in his house, such as the big amplifier with the guitar, and the model of Hill Valley. A lot of interesting. It's kind of cool to interact with that stuff. So I've only played about like an hour of the game, but it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. If you are an owner of the Xbox or PlayStation and you have been hankering for a fourth installation of the Back to the Future trilogy, I think this is about as close as we'll ever get. So if you're into games and you have that option, you might want to check it out. I haven't finished it yet. This is not a full review of that. Okay, everybody, that was a long weekly roundup. These are always going to probably run about 20 minutes because I consume a lot of entertainment in any week. I hope you enjoy. I hope that I give you some ideas of what to watch this coming week. Let me know what you guys have been watching. Tell me if you disagree with any of my reviews of any of the stuff that I watched, or what you thought of the stuff, if you watched similar things as well. Oh, I've been watching Rick and Morty again, because it's freaking awesome. Alright, everybody. Breathe deep in the night. Cheers. I will see you all soon.